ball joint. And typically it looks like that. However, I cut the end of it off. Welcome to Teamrocketgarage. I gotta have my hood on. It's cold out here, but what we're doing right now is making my 1994 Nissan Sentra even better. There's a few benefits and drawbacks to the suspension of the B13 Sentra. Benefits, very light, very simple. Drawbacks, non-adjustable caster, non-adjustable camber recovery. So basically all you get is just toe and height and a little bit of camber adjustment, 2 degrees or so. So a lot of people run a ton of camber on the front of their car. So, you know, your wheels are cambered in, and then when you turn, it has like this one artificially castered out. Well, I aim to resolve that here. I have a few things coming in the mail, and I'll tell you about that later in the video. But what we're working on right now is taking these control arms and adjusting the caster on a car that's not adjustable for caster. So stick with me and you're gonna see one heck of a video. Hit the subscribe button. This is a brand new AutoZone control arm. It was $67. Comes with a new bushing on the rear, a bushing for the control arm bolt, and then a new ball joint. And typically it looks like that. However, I cut the end of it off. To give you an idea of how the suspension works, this moves up and down and the shock compresses, but you can see as it's moving up, the shock actually moves inward like that. That means that the wheel itself, if you have a wheel here and it's cambered out, but it's getting pulled in, when your car compresses, you actually lose camber. That's bad. If you take this and your wheel pivots around, right? You can add camber by tilting the wheel and doing that, and that kind of makes it dig in a little bit when you're turning. However, if you adjust this right here backwards, when the wheel turns, it's gonna go like this. So it's a lot smaller than like what I'm doing, but this is what caster is. So if you have zero caster, that wheel gains and loses zero camber when you're turning. However, to stop the car's momentum, you need excessive camber in that direction. Typically BMWs, Integras, lots of really sporty cars have 5 to 7 or even more degrees of caster. The Sentra, she's rated from the factory for between 5/16 and 2 degrees. So not that good. I measured it on her. It's like 0.7 on one side, 0.5 on the other. So it makes sense that we've got an understeering problem. So a few things we want to address, but in this video, we are talking about caster. Now, when the shock mounts to your control arm here, it mounts to the spindle mounts to this ball joint. That's why the ball can move around. Think like a trailer ball, right? Moves around in there. If you move the shock backwards, all of a sudden you've gained caster, right? So if you move it forward, you lose caster, so that tire is going to fall over on itself. What we want to do is move the shock forward, but where it mounts on the car doesn't have a way to move it back. So the only option is moving the lower mounting point forward. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this, and instead of mounting this exactly where it was cut off, we're going to go about 1/2 of an inch forward. I calculated that to be about 3 degrees of caster. There are some things we want to factor into this. Wheel to vehicle spacing is really important because we're moving, like literally where the wheel arch is, the tire is going to move forward in that wheel arch. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to brush these up just a little bit, cut a little bit of that paint off. Got my welder right here, and we're gonna mount these up hyper carefully. Now real quick, I just want to introduce today's sponsor, and before you click away, I think you're really gonna like this one. You're my sponsor. I know I don't get a ton of views, but I love that you guys are here, and I love seeing your comments and your likes. So again, I just wanted to say a personal thank you to you specifically. So on that note, make sure you keep watching the video, but also have a fabulous day, and remember that you matter an absolute ton.
Here I am grinding the paint off of the control arm so I can make a cleaner weld. Since we're adding materials, it's okay if the end thins out just a little bit. And by the way, all those sparks are a fire hazard, so make sure you've got good shoes on and a clean floor. Now, if you've never welded anything, the first thing you're gonna wanna learn is about tacking your welds. So first off, you're gonna put your two pieces together, and what I'm doing here is tacking one side and then the other. I'll then follow up by tacking the next corner and then its opposing corner. The reason for this is because heat will expand or contract metal, and if we allow one side to expand or contract too much, then the other side will pull or push, which creates warping. And you end up with two pieces of metal that are connected in a way that isn't what you intended.
That's it. The first that I'm aware of, modified high caster front offset Nissan Sentra control arm. Look at how that just goes like with the flow, like perfect execution. Very, very happy. Look at the other side too. Nice. Oh yeah. Dude, look at this. I'm so happy.
Process of dipping hot metal in oil can cause two benefits. Firstly, the hardening of the metal. That is more focused on the rapid cooling of the metal, and me just spraying it right here isn't really rapidly cooling it. However, the second benefit is the formation of a black oxide coating. This is the same finishing process that they use on guns and high-end tools, and that stops rust.
Now that we've gone ahead and modified our control arms, you can see right here we have the now positive offset, which increases our caster. What I'm going to do is show you kind of all the parts involved with revising this front end for my 1994 Nissan Sentra. We've got the bushing over here. This just bolts into the subframe itself, and it's not really a big deal. There's no offset or anything to be had here, but it is new, so we're going to leave that alone. However, we've made modifications here to the offset, and we want to further offset by making modifications here. Lucky enough, we don't have to weld our modifications here. So what we have here is our bushing, and this is just a soft piece of rubber that holds it there, and if the wheel needs to bang around, it can. Now we can compare this, and you can see those holes are a little offset, and that's because this hole where the control arm actually mounts is offset in the bushing itself. This is also a harder bushing. It's quite a piece. This is from Whiteline, so this will take our control arm, and we've moved our wheel forward. This will push the control arm on this axis. It'll push it out even more, so we gain even more caster. This will give us 1.5 for our total of 3 degrees of increased caster in the front here. Oh, hello there, kitty cat. Moving on from out here and to the inside, we have our bump steer kit and our roll center adjusters. So if we go ahead and look at our ball joint here, the ball joint itself, this roll center adjuster makes the ball joint longer, in fact. So you can see how with this mounted right there, you can see how the control arm will actually drop down without changing the actual ride height of the car. So that is also a big win and adds to our camber recovery possibilities. Now beyond that, when you lower a car, there is also a, so say your car rides at this height, you've got your tie rod that sticks out right here. If you lower the car like that, the tie rod goes way up, and that causes an extreme upward angle. And that extreme upward angle means that you're farther on this rotation, so every bump makes the wheel toe in just a little bit, which causes a really unsettled vehicle. So what we do is, because the tie rod, this is just the ball joint, but I'll use it for example, the tie rod mounts in the top of the spindle. So because it's pushed up here, we get this extreme angle. So if we flip this upside down, it takes the tie rod from here to here, making it toe in and out less when it bumps. In order to do that though, you can see the tie rod is the exact same. This is a conical shape. So you can see it's smaller up here than it is here. Right there, that it is conical on the top. So this actually goes in from the top and creates a bottom mounting position for these upgraded tie rod ends. These came from 2J Racing, and they're a sweet little piece of kit. So I'm really excited to go ahead and get this bad girl aligned, see where the toe falls in, find the Ackerman angles, and then be able to tune from there. I think adding caster, adding camber recovery, and fixing that bump steer is going to make this car an absolute riot to drive. And hopefully I'll be able to hang with my wife's Miata up East Canyon here in Utah. If you like this kind of video, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and comment below what you would do to tune your car or my car, because I'm just figuring this out. I'm just doing the math and doing what I think feels right. So if you know something I don't, comment below. That'd be awesome. Thanks again.